Let's jump on, say hello, let me know where you're from. It's always great having people coming on and having a chat with me while I craft. So today I'm going to be playing with another sneak peek in the upcoming catalogue release, which will be released in September. I hope I got that right. And this one is called, let me just grab the paper, because usually the name of it is what's on the designer series paper, Mosaic Garden. Okay, I have showed you this one before, but let me just show you again what is in this particular suite. So let me turn my camera down and I can show you this. Okay, so we have the beautiful tile garden stamp set, and it coordinates with, let me just take these out so you can see them properly. It coordinates with the tile garden dies. Now these dies are the same we have in the circle dies. Let me see if I can pull these out quickly. I'm not quite sure whether I've got them handy or not. Sorry about this. Hello, Deborah. How are you? Is the spotlight on nature? Yes, it is. Okay, so these are the same dies, or they're square dies, but they're the same as the round dies that were on the Spotlight of Nature dies. So these ones were in your round. Okay, and it's the same dies in your circles. Now what I've done is I've actually just pre-cut all of these out in the squares, and I think I'm going to have to do the same with the circles, and I'm going to show you how I use these to help design my card today in a moment. But yeah, a nice added one for your collection. I'm going to be keeping my Spotlight on Nature dies, and I'm sure I'm going to be keeping the square ones as well, so because these ones have been very, very popular. So it's great to see them come out with the same edge dies. Now when I say that they're the same, these little cutouts around the edges are the same as what was in the circle. So hello Monica, how are you? So they're the dies. Then we have that beautiful paper. Now this is what really attracted me to this suite, because to be honest with you, these stamps here scare me a little bit. I'm okay with stamping florals, and I love my florals and everything like that. But this, you sort of build up a bit of a scene, and when it comes building up a scene, I'm sort of a little bit like, can I do this or not? So we're going to persevere with these, but this is, for me, as far as I'm concerned, this is the winner of this suite. I love these papers. I love blue, as I keep saying every week, and they've done, and my new favorite color, of course, is the hydrangea hue. So this one here is the hydrangea hue, crisp cantaloupe, old olive, and the other one is pretty peacock. And it's also got the golden glow in here as well, I think. Yes, a little bit of golden glow as there. So really great with the in colours. So really fantastic designs. And that's the reverse of that one. And I fell in love with these, and it's just like, I've got to find photos to go with this so I can use it for my scrapbook page. I just really, really love these. Not very helpful when I'm a mum of 4 boys, but we are bringing girlfriends home now, so maybe I can use these in some layouts with their girlfriends. So, but I really, really just love these. So this is what really drew me to this particular suite. Also in the suite you have the ribbon, and as you can see there, I've just tied that in a bow so you can see how that ties. And we've also got the dots as well, which is the glossy garden dots. So we're going to have a bit of play with those. Now, as I said before, what I've done is I've actually die cut all of these pieces out so I could play with these squares and work out what configuration that I want to use for my card. So I've got myself here a mock card front, and I like to have my double mats, my double layers on there. So I've got my basic black card base, and then I've got some greys there to build it up. But from here, I sort of started playing with some of these squares and working out what I wanted to do. So this is how I came up with my idea for my card design today. So I've decided that I wanted to have one of the big squares there. And then I've just cut a strip of just cardstock. I mean, these are all discontinued colours that I've cut these into. So I'm just using up my scraps, and I'm going to layer that across. And then I've chose a smaller square, which I'm going to place on my card at about there. So by playing with all of these bits and pieces here, you can work out what sort of, I mean, that's going to be way too big unless I get rid of my layers, but you can play with what sort of layout that you want to have. You might want to do something. Now, some of these squares are all the same size. So this one here I know is the same size as that one. So you might want to play with something along those lines. You maybe layer it, make it a little bit more even. You could do something like that. You could put a piece on top there and create a layout such as that. What else could we do with these? We could create, let's have a look. We could put a piece in there. We could have one there, and let's see if we've got another one about the same sort of colour. I think you might get the gist of it, but you could layer pieces up like that. I probably would go. So you could, by die cutting these out, you can really play with before you start sort of saying, okay, that's what I like. Cut out a few strips like this. You can pretend that's a sentiment piece. They could go across there, and just play with ideas of how you want all this to be layered up. So it's worth spending that little bit of time, whether you die cut it all or measure each one and cut it in squares with your paper trimmer. I just found it much easier just to grab some discontinued cardstock and just cut it up. And I'm going to be keeping these inside my sleeve with my dies, so I can do this with working out other layers. Now, of course, you don't have to do just all squares. You could add a circle on that. I mean, I've always got here a little bit of, here's one of the circles from the other one. So if you wanted to do circles and layers, you could, that's getting back to my design similar to what I'm doing now, but I'm adding a circle instead of a square. So, you can play around and work out what configuration that you want to use. So let's start creating this card. I'm actually going to pop this piece back on here. So that just gives me a bit of a visual idea of what I'm wanting to create. But, it's always good to have a few of these bits and pieces lying around that you can use to create some ideas with. So there's my layout idea, and I'm just going to pop that over there. Let me just get these ink pads out of the road, and let's start playing. Let's start stamping. Let's go into what scares me the most about this particular stamp set. So what I've done is I've pulled out some of the stamps. Now, one thing I do want to let you know with these stamps here, this stamp and that stamp are exactly the same. they're mirror image of each other. So this one here, the leaves curve out and go this way. This one here, the leaves curve out and go that way. Same with this one. This one, the stems curve in that way. This one, the stems curve in that way. So you've got two stamps which are mirror image of each other. And then you have all these little stamps here that you could add on wherever, and some other little decorative pieces as well. And you've also got this little scallop, and you've got this little flower centre, which I've just realised, and I might have to jump behind me and grab my golden glow so I can do some flower centres if I use those. So let's pop that to one side. And I've got some basic white here to do some stamping. I've also just got it's my pad from the stamp positioner, which I'm just using to stamp off at the moment. So it was just easy to grab hold of that. So I've got that right there as well. And the colours that I've brought in to use, let me just bring these in. Now, just rearranging things here. I've got my Pretty Peacock. I've also got Old Olive here with me. I'm not quite sure whether I'll be using that or not. At the moment, I think I'm just going to stick with the Pretty Peacock. And I've also got Hydrangea Hue, and I've got Crisp Cantaloupe, and I'm just going to, bear with me one second, I'm going to turn around and see if I can grab from behind me my golden glow. Oops. No, I do have to get out of my chair. Okay, then. Sorry, my body doesn't allow me anymore to twist and turn too much and get back to my seat easily. So bear with me one sec. Okay, then. Now, just need to pop that there. I've also got a foam mat because we are using photopolymer. And this is from the old stamp positioner we used to have. I bought a whole stack of these mats because it just was lightweight and easy to throw into my gear if I was going places. So I want to start with my Pretty Peacock, and I'm just going to grab the largest die. Just want to give myself a bit of an idea of the area I want to stamp in. So I'm just going to draw just a thin line up there, and that's just so then I've got this area here for my stamping, and I'm going to keep this area here for my sentiment. We'll just make sure that my sentiment can fit in there. Oh, I've got another piece anyway, so we might have to play around with that a bit. So let's just do some stamping to start with. So I'm going to grab so I've got a little bit of one that I've created earlier, and I'm just using it as a bit of a guide. And I'm going to pop one branch, I think, coming across and going up there. And I'm going to use this as a stamp off and pop another one in there like that. So I now want this one, and I've got this one here curving that way, and I'm just having a look. I might need to pull out the other one. Let me just see where this one here is going to stamp. Now remember to turn your stamp upside down so you can see. Now that's curving in the same direction because it is a little bit confusing. That's the wrong one. That's why I'm looking at that one wrong. Let's have a look at this one. Yep, that one's better. That's going to curve more that way. Okay, So let's ink this one up. And we want to put one across there as like so. And just wondering whether I need to put another one out here or not. This is where that mirror image comes in handy. Do that one, or this is where I get a little bit like, which way am I going to go to next? I think what I might do is add some flowers on here, and that will give me a better idea. And also too, I want to have a look at that, see how that's going, where I want this to be positioned. And remembering I'm going to have this area here covered up, so I'm not too worried about this section. Let me just move that up. I'm not too worried about this section up here. So let's have a look. So we're going to pop some, just get rid of that because I'm just as likely to stick my fingers right into that one. And let's grab this one here. Now we don't need, because these are a distinctive stamp, you don't need to over stamp it, okay? They work a lot better on a slightly drier ink pad than they do with a very moist ink pad. Now I am making this my predominant colour, so I'm doing all my flowers in the hydrangea hue. And I've got some smaller ones too. Let's have a look. I've got this little one here, which we can pop on the end of this stem right there. And this one here can go there. We have another little one there. And actually, in fact, I might pop that one. Instead of using that one there, I might keep just to these ones. Don't want to overdo it. So we don't need those. Now, what I do want, grab that hydrangea hue. Let's grab that little dot. Don't need to put dots, I think, in the smaller ones, but I might need this little pop it over. It's a tiny weeny little one. Keep on wanting with these to do it like we do with the old ones. I've got to learn to turn it the other way. Hello Marie, how are you? Okay, let's pop a little dot in there. Another one there, and I think I might just do one more on that one just to bring it over a little bit. There we go. So just a few there. But what I want to do is fill up some of these areas that I've got open with tiny weeny little flower. So I'm just going to pop a few of these around just to fill in some of these blank spots. We'll cut it out now and see whether we need to add a few more of those. So I tend to overdo things, so I'm trying to this time here keep it fairly simple and not overdo it. So let's see how we're going. So we want to cut this out with this particular die here. I'm going to just trim this down because we don't need all of that in. Trim that, get rid of that. Okay, so I just need to remove some of these pencil marks here. Actually, I'll use a different eraser because I sort of stamped a little bit close to it. That's okay. That looks good. Now, I want to have that probably something similar to that. So let's pop a bit of tape onto that just to hold that in place. So I think we're happy with that. Maybe lift that up just a tiny little bit. I'm going to pop that there. I'm going to pop that there. Secure that down so we know that that's where it's going to cut. And I'm going to bring out the big guns with my cut and emboss machine. Don't get to use this one very often. Okay. Remember with these squares, pop them in at a slight angle. You'll get much better cut and also it will preserve the shape of your square. And we're just going to run that through. Now, still have to stamp my sentiment and cut that out. I'll be able to use my small one for that, so let's just pop that all away. Let's see how this looked. Huh, not too bad. Don't know what I was so scared about. Okay, I'm happy with that. I think I'm going to play with these ones more often. Okay, let's just see if we can stamp our sentiment. So I'll turn that over, and I've got my sentiment here, and I thought I might do my sentiment with a pretty peacock. Or we could even do the sentiment in the old olive, because I was planning to put, let me have a look. Let's just have a look. I've got all my bits and pieces die cut over here. So you can see what we're going to put together. So I've got a basic white card base. I've also got a mat in my pretty peacock, which I'm going to mat my piece on there. So then that's starting to look a little bit more like my design idea. Let's just move that out of the road. Don't need that one. Okay, so the idea was that was going to go onto there like that. Then we can put that piece on there. Now, my question is, do I go a piece of old olive on that, which is bringing in a completely different colour, or I could cut a piece of that. The other option is that we could do a ribbon and then have our piece on there. Just wondering if that's too blue, because we've got a lot of blue happening here. Could even break it down with that and then have, I might have a square here in white about the same size. It's a little bit bigger, but it might just give us a little bit of a visual. You know, that wouldn't be too bad, actually. It's going to be a bit smaller than that, because that's it is a bit bigger. It's about 1/2 centimetre bigger. Okay, let's remove that. So let's start gluing some of this down before I stamp my sentiment. So let's adhere all this together. You like the green? Hello, Donna. How are you? Yeah, I think the green tends to break it up. I think if I'm going to put more of the pretty peacock, I think it's just going to overpower everything. I think that's something you just got to be so careful with when you're putting these colours together, especially colours like Pretty Peacock, Secret Sea. We love them, and I tell you, I do love them, but it will overpower it if we have too much. So if I'm going to pop that onto there, whoops. So if that goes onto there, then that's going to go there. Let's pop this on here now, because I'm just going to glue that down. Now I like to work very much into my thirds. I haven't popped that onto there yet because I'm working out about the ribbon. So I like to have this up 2/3. It's from many years ago when I was at school. I studied at TAFE, show card and ticket writing. And with show card and ticket writing, you always have a bigger piece at the bottom than you do at the top. And it's a good thing this is all in lines, because I can just see that that's a little bit out. That's blue. So you want to have more at the bottom than you do at the top. I've got to keep remembering, move this up so you guys can see. I'll probably have my, see if I can actually just move this screen a little bit. Should be able to. There we go. And maybe I won't keep putting everything down the middle. Okay, let's just have that there. Yeah, so you want to have a bigger area here at the bottom than at the top, so it doesn't look like it's falling off. If you have everything down here at the bottom, it just looks like it's falling off the card, unless that you have some sort of reason for having it there. So I'm thinking we pop that onto there. Yeah, I like the ribbon on top of the old olive too, because it just breaks that up a little bit as well. And I'm going to pop a little bit of glue on this. Flip that over. And I've got this piece going from edge to edge of my mat. Whoops. Now I'm just going to get tear and tape. And I want to put 2 pieces of tearing tape on the back here. Either side of that green old olive strip. So I'm treating that old olive strip almost like a ribbon itself. I've coloured my flowers. My flowers are in the hydrangea hue. Okay. Grab my scissors. I'm just going to snip that there. Now this is a nice ribbon, as you could see before. I can tie a bow in it, but it is a bulky bow. So I'm going to probably do a faux bow and not actually do a bow at all. So that's why I'm only just popping that down there, and that's going to hold that in place. And then take the backing off that one as well. And that's going to go on there. So now I've got that onto there like that. I can grab my card base, and I'm going to pop that on there. But because I've got all this ribbon and extra bulk in there, I'm going to add some dimensionals onto the back of this. I find that by adding the dimensionals, just lifts that height up a little bit. Let's pop one there. And it if we just put glue straight on the back there, we could end up causing a bit of a ridge in our card. I like to have it sitting nice and flat looking. And that all just boils down really to personal preference, so there's no right or wrong. It's whatever you're happy with. I have to keep telling myself that sometimes because I sort of go, no, that's the wrong way to do it. No, it's not the wrong way to do it. It's just the way I like to do it. So let's grab our card base and let's pop this on, lining up my longer sides first, and then hoping I've got that nice and straight, and I think I do. So how's that? It's starting to come together. So our design idea we've got over here is starting to replicate, but now we need to do that sentiment. So I like to stamp first and then die cut, but with this, because my piece of cardstock is so, and I'm going to need a bigger one, so I've got a spare piece over here. Just throw that over there. Now, before we do that, what we were looking at is whether I stamp my sentiment in Old Olive, because we've got Old Olive here, but the only other Old Olive is there. And I think actually the Old Olive would look better than the Pretty Peacock. I think what I was saying before, if you're not careful, you can overpower it. Okay, so I think stamping this in Old Olive is going to be better. And so we're going to stamp this. So as I was saying, I do like to stamp first and then put my die on top. That's just so then I can line up my die with my stamping. So if my stamping is crooked, it doesn't really matter as much. Now I probably need to re-ink some of these. So let's just see, we've got a good coverage. Let's just see if I can get a better, darker. Of course, if I had to use my repositioning tool, I probably could have very easily. Let's hold it down for a little bit longer. And that one is, I stuffed it up with the lines. So let's just flip our paper over. And we'll try another time. And that is perfect. So this is where I like to line this all up and make sure I've got it exactly where I want it to go, but I am going to cut this down first. Cutting it roughly in half, about 7.5 centimetres by eye, of course. That's the way we do it, isn't it? Still haven't found another tape that I like besides this one, and I don't make this tape anymore. Well, they don't sell it at Officeworks. I find washi tape and everything, if I'm not careful, especially when you're putting it through a cut and emboss machine, it adheres too tightly to my paper. Using both machines today, both the big one and the little one. Okay, so let's pop that onto there. Let me move this in so you can actually see what I'm doing. And let's run this through. There we go. Yep, third time is a charm. It always is. I was going to play with the mices again today, but because I've got an idea for a card, but I haven't made one like it before, and I thought, might just make that one day on my own so I don't mess up too much. Here we go. I'm just going to use this and pop these out. I didn't worry so much on the other one. But did you notice I've tried to use 2 different dies for these squares, because as I said before, we've got different ones. See how this one here's just got the line around it. This one's got like the little fleur-de-lis. But I've done the same on this here. Let's pop that out. Do like them out. Okay. Now I'm also going to pop this up on to dimensionals. I'm just wondering. No, I know exactly what I'm doing. Okay. It's not very often I know exactly what I'm doing, but today I know what I'm doing. So let's pop this up. Oops, one of my ones here have lost their back. Now on a Saturday morning, I usually do a live if you want to join me, but tomorrow I have to see how well I can get myself prepared. I fly by the seat of my pants when I do my lives, and especially my scrapbooking one. A scrapbooking one's not a really good one to fly by the seat of your pants. There you go. There's my card front. So now all I've got to do is my card insert. So do we take the easy way and just put a little bit of designer series paper on there, or are we going to have a little bit of, now we've got our confidence up playing with the stamps. Let's see what we can come up with. And add some of this in. Okay, do I want that one's going to go? Okay, we're going to use this, and I'm going to stamp that. It's better. Bit of an angle about there. Oh, it's a beautiful suite. I'll tell you what, I'm really wanting to get and I haven't got it as yet, but I want to order the workshop, the scrapbook workshop. This one has a scrapbook workshop, and I do want to get that. I don't know about the stamps, but I want the workshop for the photos. But I don't know yet what photos I'm going to use. Okay, so let's put that onto there. We need those 2 as well. This one here for the little flowers. Let's pop a few more of these around. Just dot them just fairly close. Just using an odd number like we do on the front of our card. And let's put that little dot in the inside. So we'll hear those 2 together. Looks like I missed out a little bit on my, oh no, maybe that's correct. Just looks like my petal there is only half, but that's okay. I hope you're all having a lovely day today. So there's that. Pop that into the inside of my card. one thing left to do, and that is to grab our embellishments. Where have I put them? Over here. And we can add, and I think I might go the hydrangea hue. I'm going to pop one small one there, large one there, and just wondering, do I need to add a few up here or not? I think actually I'm just going to leave it at that, because I quite like that. I think that's just so simple. We'll worry about that later on. There you go. There's my card for today. So here's what we started off with. So let's pop this all back together where we had it. So there was my idea, and there's my finished card. And I had so much fun creating that. And you know what? That stamping wasn't that scary, was it? And as this dries, the colour actually goes right back to the same hydrangea hue that's in the flowers in the background. And another card, and I must say I am very happy with that, because I was a bit worried. So I hope you've enjoyed that. I hope that encourages you to have a bit of a play if you order this particular suite. Look, I mean, and play and cut some of these, you know, your elements and that up, you know, especially like your circles and your squares to play with, to get an idea of what sort of layout, because really I sort of wasn't quite sure what I was going to do until I thought, well, let's cut this out and let's start playing and creating. And yeah, but I'm happy with that. That's fantastic. So thank you very much for joining me today. Now, please remember, these products do become available in September. You can see these products in September on my website at michellejutrisa.stampingup.net, and that's when you can get all of these, including the dies. So you've got the stamp set, the dies, the whole suite, the paper. Look, if you're going to buy it, buy the whole lot. It really works out, because you get your 10% discount also on the bundle, which is the stamps and the dies that go together. And I'm sure you'll have a lot of fun with this. If not making cards, definitely with scrapbooking as well. So if you want to join me tomorrow, if I can organise myself now to work out what I'm going to do tomorrow, I think I might be working on my album about me again, and that will be at 10:30 in the morning, unless something unforeseen happens. That's what my plan is for the moment. So take care. If I don't see you tomorrow, have a lovely, lovely weekend. Looks like we're going to have some beautiful weather, though it is a bit cold down here in the Highlands, but that's okay. We're tough here. So take care. Have a lovely day, and thank you very much for joining me. Bye for now.